Right now in South Korea, a 33-year-old woman is sitting alone in a dark room, staring at a half-empty can of cheap beer and wondering when exactly her life turned into a horror movie. Just a few hours ago, she walked into one of the most prestigious matchmaking agencies in the country, a place where people pay thousands of dollars just for the chance to meet a decent partner. She walked in with a polished resume, a solid career, and the confidence of someone who has spent her entire life being told she is a high-value prize. But the woman behind the desk didn't see a prize, she saw an expiring asset. The consultant looked at her with the cold, dead eyes of a meat grader at a slaughterhouse and told her that her age makes her a difficult product to move. At 33, she was informed that she is already at the bottom of the barrel because younger women are flooding the market earlier than ever. The agency told her that if she wants a man who makes good money and owns a house, she needs to stop dreaming and start slashing her own price. This wasn't a conversation about love or compatibility, it was a brutal audit of her biological and economic utility. She left that office feeling like her soul had been put through a paper shredder. And now she is part of a growing demographic of women who are realizing that the social ladder they spent 15 years climbing was actually a cliff edge. But why would these agencies actually demand such a cruel public stripping of a person's dignity? Why would a business that relies on customer satisfaction go out of its way to crush the spirit of the very people paying for its services? The answer is as blunt and low-level as human instinct can get. It is all about the commission. These matchmaking agencies are not romantic charities, they are high-stakes human livestock exchanges. They make their real money when a match is finalized. To get a high-earning man to agree to marry a 33-year-old woman, the agency has to overcome a massive hurdle. High-value men in this market overwhelmingly demand use because they view marriage as an investment in a partner who is fertile and has less baggage. The agency knows the math. If a woman insists on her own high market value based on her career or her education, the deal will never close. So the agency employs a tactic of systematic ego destruction. They have to break the woman's spirit until she is desperate enough to accept a man she would have laughed at 5 years ago. It is a raw, parasitic resource grab where the agency acts as the hammer, smashing the woman's self-worth to force a transaction that pays their bills. So what happens when these women realize that the game they were playing was rigged from the start? Why are they panicking now instead of 10 years ago? It comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of how the world actually works. For 2 decades, these women were told that their education, their job title, and their independent lifestyle were the only things that mattered. They spent their peak years in libraries and offices, thinking they were accumulating value. They watched top-tier men chase them for temporary flings in their early 20s, and assumed that those men would still be there when they were ready to settle down at 35. But the marriage market operates on a completely different set of rules than the job market. While they were busy building their careers, they were losing the only thing the marriage market truly prizes: time. Now they are hitting the wall at full speed. They are realizing that a 24-year-old with a high school diploma and a pretty face has more leverage in the marriage court than a 33-year-old with a master's degree and a mountain of student debt. This is the moment where the main character fantasy crashes into the reality of supply and demand, and the resulting noise is the sound of thousands of women screaming into the void of the internet. So what did they get when they finally achieved the independence they fought so hard for? They got exactly what they asked for, a world where no one owes them anything. The cold logic of self-interest has completely destroyed the old social contract. In the past, marriage was a leap of faith where a man and a woman grew together. Now, it is a zero-trust audit. Men in South Korea have become increasingly cynical and observant. They have developed theories like the hidden borrower, where they fear that a woman is just a predator, waiting to hide her true past and her radical beliefs until the marriage contract is legally signed. And she can claim half the assets. Because there is no trust, men are using age as a proxy for safety. They figure a younger woman has had less time to become bitter, or to develop a list of ex-boyfriends that would fill a stadium. The system is failing because you cannot build a home on a foundation of mutual suspicion and spreadsheet analysis. The women feel betrayed by a society that told them to be career-driven, and the men feel like they are being scouted as walking wallets rather than human beings. Is this madness unique to the Korean peninsula, or is it just the first place where the rot is becoming visible to everyone? In reality, this is a universal collapse. You can see the same thing happening in China, with the leftover women phenomenon, where highly educated women are publicly shamed in city parks, while their parents try to trade their resumes like baseball cards. You see it in the West with men who are simply walking away from the marriage court entirely, because they realize the deal has been fundamentally altered. In every developed society, as women gain more economic power, the traditional marriage market becomes more brutal, not less. The hypocrisy is staggering. People claim to want equality, but when it comes to the bedroom and the bank account, they still want the most traditional, primitive advantages. The woman with the master's degree still wants a man who makes more than her, and the man with the big salary still wants a woman who looks like she just graduated from college. It is a hilarious mess of conflicting desires where everyone is trying to cheat the system, only to find out that the system has already cheated them. If this trajectory continues, the future of dating will look less like a romantic comedy and more like a high-frequency trading floor. We are already seeing the signs of a total collapse in the middle-aged marriage market. The age of women in bride-to-be chat groups is dropping every year, because the younger generation has seen the wreckage of the 30-somethings and decided to lock in their value as early as possible. We will soon see a world of marriage futures trading where 19-year-olds sign contracts to guarantee a high-value husband before they even finish school. We will see forensic teams hired to audit a partner's social media history and relationship past. Before a single date is even allowed, the arms race of youth will accelerate, until the entire concept of dating for love is seen as a quaint, ancient myth. The result will be a two-tier society where a tiny elite of young wives and wealthy men live in gated communities, while everyone else drinks alone in tiny apartments, shouting at their screens about how unfair the world is. The entire situation is best understood through the lens of a person holding a luxury discount coupon. Imagine you have a coupon that gives you a 100% discount on a dream life. You feel incredibly powerful holding that piece of paper. You walk past the luxury stores every day, looking at the beautiful things in the windows, thinking to yourself that you can have any of it whenever you want. You spend 10 years debating which store is worthy of your coupon. You feel like a queen because of the potential you carry. You wait for the perfect season, the perfect collection, and the perfect moment. Then, one day, you decide it is finally time. You walk into the store, slam your coupon on the counter, and demand the best they have. The clerk picks up the paper, looks at the date, and starts laughing. You missed the tiny invisible ink at the bottom that said the coupon expired at age 30. Now, that paper isn't a ticket to a dream life, it's just a reminder of a chance you threw away. You are left standing in the aisle, clutching a worthless piece of trash, while the clerk tells you that the best you can get now is a 10% discount on a floor model that has been stepped on by 1,000 other people. This is the ultimate mockery of the modern era. We all think we are accumulating value through our careers, our wisdom, and our self-growth, but we forget that the clerk behind the counter doesn't care about our resumes. The biological clock doesn't care about your job title. The marriage market is a place of cold, hard facts. And the most important fact of all is that time always wins. The war isn't just between men and women, it is a war between human arrogance and the reality of the window. You think you have all the time in the world until the clerk tells you the sale ended years ago. The tragedy isn't that the system is cruel, the tragedy is that everyone believed they were the exception to the rule until they hit the wall and realized they were just another piece of inventory with an expiration date. Fuel the truth at Dating in Korea, support the structure, stay safe in the lounge.